Say, man, for those select few that are already initiated, you should already know what this is. And for those of you that aren't, just chill. See, we're going to get to the other stuff in a minute. But first, see, what I'm always trying to get everybody to understand is everything is vibration. So, before we do anything else, hey, if at any point on this journey, man, you feel like you can't find your smile, I want you to allow me to be the smile on your face. If at any point on this trip, you know, if you feel like you're engulfed in darkness, you need to allow me to be your beacon. But in order to do so, you don't have to open up your ear and let me crawl into your mind. One time. Man, I used to be so scared of the dark. Until I realized that the beast was within myself. I had nothing to fear but fear itself, because I am the shadow. You better smile. Hey, man. I know you might be wondering what you done clicked on this time. You clicked on a piece of yourself that you're scared to face. You clicked on love. Because at the end of the day, that's really all I am. That's all you are. That's all everything is, baby. That's what God is. What it was, y'all. Y'all know who it is. And if not, I can't tell you this time, but I will let you know once again that I am the king around here. And y'all tuned in with Priceless Knowledge of Self. And this right here, this ain't nothing but some cosmic insight, man. And I hope everybody doing good. I hope everybody vibing, because it's time to get back to that darkness, man. And this time, we might even find ourselves asking why it's there. Okay? Because this right here, this a little something about those people that have the black moon Lilith in the 9th house of their natal chart. Yeah. And see, before we actually go there, what I'm going to do first, if you don't know my styles, I'm going to give y'all a little bit of the energy that comes along with it. I'm going to tell y'all a little bit of the mythology that comes along with it and how it might affect you. Then after that, I'm going to give y'all a quick breakdown of what the 9th house of the astrological chart is actually all about. And then after that, we're going to bring it to a climax, which is actually what I do best. So, sit right there. So, when we're talking about Lilith, man, you know, Lilith actually is the oldest story ever told, and it comes to us from Judaic or Jewish mythology. And you see, Lilith was the first woman ever created. Yeah, not Eve, Lilith. Lilith and Adam were created at the same time, equally by the Creator. And if you pay attention to scriptures, it actually supports that. Okay. And let's just put it like this. All was good in the hood until it came time to consummate that relationship, until it was time to get nasty. Because what you got to understand is that this ain't Eve and she ain't submissive. So when Adam said, lay down, Lilith, so I may lay on top of you, she wasn't feeling that. No, she said, nah, man, you lay down so I may lay on top of you. And Adam wasn't quite evolved yet, and he wasn't having that. So they got into it. There came a great calamity, and the angel of the Lord came down to sort things out and immediately sided with Adam. And in doing so, Lilith felt disrespected, dejected, and so she dipped out to become a lot of different things in a lot of different mythologies. Some would say that she's a demon that steals babies. Some would say that she's a seductress of men, like Jezebel. It's like Jezebel herself. Some would say that she's Satan's consort. Some would say that she's the mother of all demons. But I'm going to tell you now, that's a bunch of bullshit. That's some bullshit made up by some weak little men, okay? Because you know what Lilith represents? Lilith is strong, independent, rebellious, sexy, dominant, feminine energy. Is it manipulative? Yeah, it has to be. It doesn't have brute force to work with, okay? But does that make it bad? Nah. Makes it sexy. So, when we go back to the story, we looking at Adam, man, and he's sick, man. Adam is hurting. He needs him somebody. So, feeling sorry for him, the creator puts Adam into a stupor, takes one of his ribs, and creates Eve, who is of Adam for Adam. You understand that? Not Lilith. Lilith is made of the creator in the creator's image, just like Adam was. Eve is made of Adam. Okay? For Adam. There's two different manifestations of that energy, okay? What you do with it is what you do with it. And even beyond that, it ain't about what you do. It's about how you do it, okay? So that's how that goes, man. So in astrology, there's kind of an indicator of dark karma. And, this is where Lilith comes into play. And like the nose, this ain't an actual celestial body. This is more of a certain point or aberration in the chart. And this point right here, it helps us to understand where certain provocations, temptations, turn-ons, fears, and trials might even wait a person, okay? It could represent the darker or the shadow side of our personality, as well as the type of energy that could really put us in states of trepidation and, things that really kind of, make us get on edge. Okay. And the thing is, it's going to manifest differently in different people because, if you're not comfortable with the feminine part of yourself, if you think that's weak, it's going to give you a rough time. Okay. If you view the darkness as something negative or something bad, then you probably will have a rough time, because what you got to understand is that the shadow part of you, that's probably what got you through some of the most roughest roughest times in your life. Pardon me. And, when we talk about masculinity and femininity, first thing you got to do is separate that from male and female, because they don't have anything to do with each other at all. Okay. That's some earth shit. And we're not here to talk about earth shit. We're talking about the soul. Okay. And when we're talking about spiritual matters, masculine and feminine energy, they are factors, but that has nothing to do with being male or female. Okay. Okay. And the faster you understand that, the faster you understand. But, if you view this as something that's bad and negative, you try to repress it, it's going to come out bad and negative. It's going to be bad for you, okay? And another thing to understand about this is there's going to be periods when the black moon is strongest, and that's in years that are in multiples of 9. And I'm not talking about 1909, 1918, 1927, 1936, 1945, 1954. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in years of multiples of 9 since your birth, okay? Because that's how long it takes for Lilith to traverse the whole zodiac and then make her return. And, it's at that time that a lot of fateful events might occur, or nothing might happen. Okay. A lot of people would say that that's time, a time of reckoning where you're going to have to look yourself in the mirror. And that culminates, 5 months after it started 5 months before. But like I said, nothing could happen. And the thing is with me is I'm not here for predictions. I'm here for personality traits and character development. So I can't tell you what's going to happen on your Lilith return. All I can say is stay woke. And so, when we talk about the ninth house of the astrological chart, the ninth house for me is the house of philosophy. It's ruled by Jupiter and Sagittarius, and the search for meaning really takes precedence here. And, that really boils down to understanding what we see and feel by virtue of exploring our experiences. Okay. It's about higher education and psychology and theology and all things involved with our voyage for discovery. Okay. For me, the ninth is the home of spirituality. For me, this is where God lives, or at least where you find something much greater than yourself. Okay. Take that from a person who has their sun in the ninth house. Okay. And, that could also, when you're talking about something greater than yourself, that could talk about, our laws or systems that govern our society, and not so much as political systems, which, that's more Saturn's domain, but universal principles that should be inherently understood. Okay. And, the ninth house is also all about foreign culture and long distance travel and pastors, professors, psychologists, astrologers, psychics, philosophers. They're all found here. Okay. And additionally, the ninth house is about publishing, import and export businesses. And really, it takes on a multi-generational view, taking on both the grandparents and the in-laws and all our relationships with such too. So that's something to keep in mind also. Okay. And so when we're taking the black moon Lilith and putting the black moon Lilith in the ninth house, well, let me say that the number one thing that this tells me when I see the black moon Lilith here in somebody's natal chart is that there are various philosophies and theories that have really, had a profound effect on this individual's life. And whether they were negative or positive, regardless, this is somebody who deeply wants to find their own personal belief system because they really struggle with external expectations of spirituality. Plus, these motherfuckers right here, they ain't the type to ever, put blind faith in a motherfucking thing. And that's just keeping it real, man. That's just keeping it real, man. They really want to explore and formulate their own opinions on what the universe is and what the meaning of life is all about. Okay. And once they do, they ain't gonna change their mind. Matter of fact, they probably gonna try to impose that shit on you. That's the thing with it, man. They ain't gonna budge. Not willingly anyway. Not unless they go through some kind of crazy experience that just rips the carpet right up under their feet and, awakens them to a whole nother realm of understanding, which that's definitely a possibility with Lilith here, but it ain't gonna be fun. I'm gonna tell you that. It ain't. And, we can't also never forget that the ninth is also the house of expansion. So with Jupiter running things, man, and you putting that with Lilith here, man, it's going to blow that up too. You know what I'm saying? To, sometimes devastating proportions, sometimes to the point where it's just making a profound impact on these people's lives, to be honest, man. And I can almost guarantee that as they grow and as they mature, they often come into the realization that they have a completely different value system than the one that they were taught as a child. And, their teachers, their mentors, their gurus and authority figures, they were, maybe extremely inspiring to them, or with Lilith here, they could have had, some liaisons here with some teachers and mentors and professors and things like that. They could have some, some sexy times going on with them, if you know what I mean. Or, they could find them repulsive and, kind of felt like their teachers and their mentors and their gurus and anybody that they thought was an authority figure held them back. So, I definitely could say that ninth house Lilith, it's going to kind of be a huge indicator of tumultuous power struggles or, complications, maybe sexy complications with their teachers and mentors too. Cause like I said, man, these are people right here. You can't just tell them anything. They want to find out on their own, and if you tell them not to do something, they're going to do it. You tell them that, something is wrong unless you can prove why it's wrong. They might want to try it out. That's just keeping it real, for real. And either way it goes, faith, religion, and personal philosophy, they're all going to be affected by Lilith here, for real, man. And plus, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to change their views, even when they know damn well, those views that they have don't serve them no more, or they might be believing in some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? they know damn well themselves this fact, okay? And I also know that the majority of them, that have this ninth house Lilith, they be going through a period in life where they pretty much question everything and go through this point where they're challenging all the norms. And it's during that time that they really learn and kind of formulate their unique philosophy. But be warned, okay? Be warned that, these people right here, their relationship, religion, it's often going to be colored with disillusion, betrayal, and strife. Okay. For instance, in some cases, these people right here, they were forced to follow a religion that they had, no faith in, which was painful to them. Okay. Or the people that they saw preaching a whole bunch of things or the value systems that were imposed upon them, they saw them that they weren't living them. And they're like, man, they're full of shit. Or, they were being abused by someone, in this spiritual system that they had going on. Maybe they just saw people that just weren't about shit and like, man, no. They know, maybe they were around false prophets themselves. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole bunch of ways that, this right here could play out, man. You know what I'm saying? And whatever happened, man, it was kind of painful to them. And it kind of manifested in this complex where faith and church are both something that they just don't fuck with at all. They don't fuck with it, man. At all, man. And, Lilith in the ninth can also kind of indicate someone who completely abandons their spirituality altogether until maybe a pilgrimage or, an awakening happens and, becomes a major turning point in their life. But, if it ain't something that's going to be deep and dark and sexy, this right here could be something that's extremely painful that happens to them. Understand that. Yeah. And on another note, man, this one can also be an indicator of troubles with education. Even when these folks right here typically love learning and have, sleepless minds. That's the most beautiful term that you can have for these folks right here. They have sleepless minds, okay, and insatiable appetites for learning, man. So, even beyond that, I just say that the issues kind of more centered around higher education because they be having all the goods. I'm talking about all the goods, all the smarts. A lot of them be even having the grades, the opportunities, but they still, might drop out of school or even say fuck school altogether because they feel like they could just learn a lot more on their own. Or a lot of them struggle with or flat out refuse structures and rules that are placed on them too because, they don't want anything at all fucking with their independence, which is a trip. And the thing is, they usually aren't able to do it without kicking the proverbial hornet's nest here. Okay. So then that's going to make it rough on them. They make things rough on themselves, man. I'm telling you now that these are extremely self-willed individuals. So if it isn't their mouth and their attitude, it's going to be that lack of faith that's going to consistently put them in the cross with authority figures and, and put them, in conflict with people who would otherwise, be there to teach them a lot of valuable lessons and information. So really, man, these folks right here, they be in their own way, which is a motherfucker. And look, y'all, man, the positive manifestation of this is just going to be a unique thinker who can reform society by addressing taboo topics and uncovering truth for the whole world to be able to, see and share. But another issue is that, these motherfuckers right here, they tend to see other people's opinions, or they tend to not see other people's opinions as valid. Okay. They have a problem accepting what other people's opinions are. And, they can be real motherfucking self-righteous in their belief systems too with this. Okay. And, that's dangerous, man. That's dangerous, man. And if it's closer to the midheaven, let me say that it could also indicate a messed up reputation because of this stuff. Okay. And lastly, the ninth house is also all about foreign travel. And so, this right here, it could, play out, one of a few ways right here. So let's look at it like this. Okay. It could play out where, they go on how does not sound? My bad. They go on long distance travel, to have sexy dark, liaisons, like I said, or, it could play out to where, they're having trouble, where they go, where there could be dangerous things happening to them when they're going on these, these pilgrimages or these adventures, far from home. Or, they're having these experiences there, that is really just ripping the carpet right up under them and, bringing about, a spiritual awakening, trouble, liaisons, all kinds of things going on with this one. man. But hey, even if it don't play out like that, okay, you don't believe nothing I just said, just because you built like that, you don't have to build like that. What that means is that we all have all this energy available to us. What you do with it is what you do with it. And then beyond that, it's not about what you do, it's about how you do it. Okay, and hey, that's some priceless knowledge in itself. And there's been some priceless knowledge of self. Okay, I appreciate all the love and support. If you are interested in any astrological readings whatsoever, you should, hit me up in the comments below or email me at mr.turner1300@gmail.com. If you don't reach this point, you ain't hit the like button, man, you're out of line. You sincerely out of line. Because, man, if I were fucking with you, I'd keep it trill. I put constant work in. I'm consistent, man. And sometimes, especially right now, I'm not feeling like I'm getting enough love back from y'all, to be honest, man. This has not been no equal. Y'all show me some love, man. Hit that like button, man. If you want to donate to my channel, man, you see how to do that in the description below. But I'm not expecting that, and I'm all right. You know what I'm saying? Obviously. But show me some love, because I'm really not feeling it today. All right?